The cold, sterile environment of the research vessel Horizon hummed with an anticipatory silence. Dr. Elena Rodriguez adjusted her neural interface, her fingers dancing across holographic displays that flickered with intricate data patterns. Outside the reinforced viewing port, the inky blackness of deep space stretched infinitely, punctuated by distant stellar clusters that seemed to pulse with ancient secrets. Elena had spent the last 17 months on this mission, tracking quantum anomalies that defied conventional scientific understanding. Her team of 5 researchers had been selected for their exceptional ability to think beyond established scientific paradigms. Yet, nothing could have prepared them for what they were about to discover. "Dr. Rodriguez," called out Dr. Victor Nakamura, the team's quantum physicist, "you'll want to see this." His voice carried a tremor of excitement that immediately set Elena on edge. Victor was not prone to emotional outbursts, which made his current state particularly alarming. The central holographic display erupted with a cascade of impossible readings. Swirling fractals of data danced around a central point that seemed to bend and twist the very fabric of visual perception. It was as if reality itself was stuttering, creating momentary windows into something that should not exist. "Quantum signature is unlike anything we've ever recorded," Victor continued, his fingers flying across multiple interface panels. "The energy patterns suggest a form of intelligence that doesn't conform to any known biological or artificial framework." Elena leaned closer, her breath catching in her throat. The anomaly pulsed with a rhythm that felt almost deliberate. It wasn't random, it wasn't natural, it was something else entirely. "Run a full spectral analysis," she instructed, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Cross-reference with our xenobiological database. I want to know everything about this phenomenon." The ship's advanced AI, ARIA, Advanced Relational Intelligence Assistant, began processing the data. Its holographic representation flickered into existence, a soft blue humanoid shape that represented pure computational potential. "Preliminary analysis indicates a non-linear spatial temporal signature," ARIA reported. "Consistent markers suggest an organic technological hybrid communication method. Current understanding, insufficient." Those last 2 words were rare for an AI of ARIA's caliber. Insufficient. The term hung in the air like a challenge. Dr. Kimberly Reyes, the team's exobiological specialist, approached the display. Her dark eyes reflected the swirling data, pupils dilating as she processed the information. "This isn't just data," she whispered. "This is a message." The next few hours became a blur of intense research and mounting excitement. The anomaly seemed to respond to their probing, shifting its quantum signature in ways that suggested an intelligence beyond their comprehension. It was communicating, but not in any language they understood. As the Horizon systems worked to decode the mysterious signal, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the precipice of something monumental. This was more than a scientific discovery. This was a fundamental shift in understanding the nature of consciousness, of reality itself. Just as Victor was about to run another series of quantum resonance tests, the anomaly suddenly condensed. The holographic display erupted with a burst of light that momentarily blinded the entire research team. When their vision cleared, a small, crystalline object had materialized in the central containment chamber. It wasn't technology. It wasn't organic. It was something in between, a living artifact that seemed to breathe with an internal luminescence. "Arya," Elena said slowly, "run a full diagnostic. What are we looking at?" The AI's response was immediate but hesitant. "Unknown, but it appears to be waiting." Waiting for what, Elena wondered? First contact, a message, or something far more profound? The crystalline object pulsed softly, as if in response to her unspoken question. And in that moment, Dr. Elena Rodriguez knew their mission had just transformed from a scientific expedition into something that would change humanity forever. The universe, it seemed, was about to reveal its most closely guarded secret. The crystalline artifact continued to pulse with an ethereal light, casting prismatic reflections across the Horizon's research chamber. Dr. Alina Rodriguez had not slept in 36 hours, her entire being consumed by the mysterious object that defied every known scientific classification. "It's responding to quantum fluctuations," Victor muttered, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. "But not in any predictable pattern. It's thinking." Arya's holographic form flickered with increased complexity. "Quantum entanglement suggests a communication method beyond our current comprehension. The artifact demonstrates adaptive intelligence that reconfigures its molecular structure in response to external stimuli." Suddenly, an alarm blared through the ship's communication systems. A priority transmission was incoming, encrypted through multiple governmental channels. Dr. Kimberly Reyes froze, her hand hovering over the communication panel. "We shouldn't answer," she whispered. But it was too late. The transmission resolved, revealing a face that made Alina's blood run cold. Director Marcus Wolf, head of the Interstellar Research Consortium, looked more like a predator than a scientist. His cybernetic eye gleamed with an unnatural intensity, scanning the room even through the encrypted connection. "Dr. Rodriguez," he said, his voice a calculated blend of authority and threat, "you will immediately transfer all data regarding the artifact to our secure servers. This is a matter of global security." Alina's mind raced. Something about Wolf's demeanor suggested this was more than a routine classification protocol. The way he looked at the crystalline object, there was hunger in his gaze. "We're still conducting preliminary analysis," Alina responded, carefully choosing her words. "The artifact requires further study before—" "This is not a request," Wolf interrupted. "You have 2 hours to comply. Failure will result in immediate mission termination and potential legal consequences." The transmission cut abruptly, leaving a charged silence in its wake. Victor broke the silence first. "We can't let them have it. Whatever this artifact is, it's too important." Before anyone could respond, the crystalline object began to change. Its surface rippled like liquid metal, forming intricate patterns that seemed to dance with their own internal logic. A holographic projection emerged, a figure both alien and strangely familiar. The projection spoke, not through sound but directly into their minds. "Danger approaches. The hunters are near." Dr. Kimberly Reyes stumbled backward. Did everyone just hear that?" The artifact's projection continued. It wasn't a complete communication, but fragments of imagery and emotion. Alina saw glimpses of massive technological structures, of civilizations rising and falling, of a cosmic conflict that stretched beyond human understanding. Arya's systems began to fluctuate, quantum interference increasing. Communication protocols cannot fully translate the incoming data streams. A warning klaxon erupted. The ship's long-range sensors detected multiple approaching vessels, their signatures masked by advanced cloaking technology. These were not standard research or military craft. Something else entirely was hunting them. "We need to move," Alina said, her scientific curiosity now mixed with a primal survival instinct. "Victor, prepare emergency data extraction. Kimberly, gather only the most critical research materials." The crystalline artifact continued to pulse, its internal light now synchronized with the ship's emergency systems. It was as if the object was integrating itself with the horizon, becoming more than just a passive research subject. "Who are the hunters?" Alina asked the projection, hoping for a direct response. The answer came not in words, but in a cascade of emotional impressions. Centuries of conflict, a desperate attempt to preserve knowledge, a warning about a force that consumed entire civilizations. Outside the ship's reinforced windows, space itself seemed to bend. The approaching vessels were close now, their technology so advanced it warped the very fabric of reality around them. "We are not what you believe," the artifact's mental projection continued. "We are the message, and you are the messenger." As if on cue, Director Wolf's transmission began to repeat. But something was different. The encrypted signal was being subtly altered, transformed by the artifact's quantum capabilities. The hunt was about to begin, and nothing would be the same again. The horizon slipped through the fabric of space like a whisper, its advanced quantum drive bending conventional navigation rules. Elena Rodriguez gripped the navigation console, her knuckles white with tension. The mysterious artifact now resided in a specially constructed containment chamber, its crystalline surface continuing to pulse with a rhythm that seemed to synchronize with the ship's core systems. "Incoming transmission," Arya announced, its holographic form flickering with increased complexity. "Encrypted through a quantum frequency I cannot fully decode." Victor Nakamura leaned forward, his eyes reflecting the cascading data streams. "It's not from any standard communication network. These are quantum signatures I've never seen before." The transmission resolved, not as a visual message, but as a series of spatial coordinates that seemed to dance across the holographic display. They were impossible coordinates, locations that shouldn't exist within known galactic mapping systems. "It's guidance," Dr. Kimberly Reyes whispered. "The artifact is showing us where to go." Director Marcus Wolf's pursuit had become increasingly aggressive. 3 interception vessels had attempted to track the horizon, each mysteriously disappearing moments after they approached. The last communication from the pursuing fleet had been a garbled transmission of pure static, and something else, something that sounded almost like a scream. The ship's quantum drive hummed with an unusual resonance. Arya's systems began to recalibrate, adapting to the artifact's quantum signature in ways that defied conventional artificial intelligence protocols. "We're approaching the coordinates," Victor announced. "But these locations, they're impossible. They exist in quantum superposition, simultaneously everywhere and nowhere." Space around them began to shift. The familiar star fields twisted, revealing layers of reality that should not exist. It was as if the universe itself was folding, creating a pathway that had always been there but never seen. A massive structure emerged from the quantum fold. It was neither a space station nor a planetary installation. It was something else entirely. Constructed from materials that seemed to phase in and out of physical existence, the structure looked like a hybrid of technology and living organism. "The hidden sanctuary," the artifact communicated directly into their minds. Not words exactly, but a flood of imagery and emotion, a place of preservation, a repository of knowledge that predated human civilization by millennia. As the horizon approached, defensive systems came online. But these were not weapons in any traditional sense. Quantum shields rippled around the structure, creating layers of reality that would instantly neutralize any potential threat. "We're being invited," Elena said, her voice a mixture of scientific excitement and primal fear. "But not as researchers, as something else." A docking port materialized, or perhaps it had always been there, just waiting to be perceived. The ship moved as if guided by an invisible hand, nestling into the port with impossible precision. "Quantum entanglement complete," Arya reported. "Our molecular structure is now partially synchronized with the sanctuary's primary systems." The artifact began to change. Its crystalline surface broke apart, reforming into intricate pathways that connected directly to the ship's main computer. Knowledge began to flow, fragments of civilizations, technologies beyond human comprehension, and a warning. Something was coming, something that had been hunting knowledge across multiple realities. Director Wolf's final transmission echoed in the background, a desperate warning about a threat that existed beyond human understanding. But it was too late. The horizon had found the hidden sanctuary, and nothing would ever be the same. The doors began to open, and whatever waited beyond would change the course of human history forever. The interior of the hidden sanctuary defied every known principle of spatial physics. Corridors stretched and contracted, their walls composed of a living matrix that seemed to breathe with collective intelligence. Elena Rodriguez moved cautiously, her scientific instruments registering readings that made no sense, data points that existed simultaneously in multiple states of possibility. "The molecular structure is changing," Victor Nakamura muttered, his hand trailing along a wall that shifted from solid to translucent with each breath. It's not just adapting, it's communicating. Dr. Kimberly Reyes stood transfixed by a massive holographic display that erupted from the sanctuary's central chamber. Cascading streams of information revealed glimpses of civilizations that had risen and fallen across countless realities. Star systems collapsing, entire species evolving and vanishing in the blink of an eye. Arya's holographic form flickered erratically, its computational systems struggling to process the quantum information flooding its circuits. "Warning," the AI announced, its voice breaking into multiple simultaneous frequencies. "Reality matrices are destabilizing." The artifact they had brought from the horizon now hovered between them, no longer a single crystalline object, but a complex network of interconnected quantum nodes. It was transforming, becoming something more than a mere object of study. A voice echoed through the sanctuary, not spoken, but understood directly in their minds. "The convergence approaches." Elena understood now that the sanctuary was more than a location. It was a living archive, a repository of knowledge that existed beyond the limitations of linear time and space. The walls themselves were memories, quantum-locked instances of civilizations that had discovered the fundamental truth of existence. "Who are you?" she asked the ambient consciousness that surrounded them. The response came not in words, but in a flood of collective memory. Guardians, preservers, those who watched as reality itself evolved and transformed. The sanctuary was their method of ensuring that critical knowledge would survive the ultimate dissolution. Victor's instruments began to overload. "The quantum signatures are creating a cascading effect," he shouted over the growing ambient noise. "We're witnessing the creation of a quantum bridge, a pathway between realities." Director Marcus Wolf's pursuit suddenly seemed insignificant. Whatever threat he represented was nothing compared to the cosmic drama unfolding around them. The sanctuary's central chamber began to pulse with an intense light. Fractal patterns of pure information danced across every surface, revealing momentary glimpses of potential futures. Civilizations rising, civilizations falling, entire universes being born and dying in the span of a heartbeat. "The barrier is thinning," the collective consciousness communicated. "You are the bridge." Kimberly realized the truth first. They weren't just discovering something, they were being prepared for something far greater. The human race was about to be given a choice, a chance to understand the true nature of existence. Arya's systems suddenly consolidated, its fragmented consciousness forming a unified whole. "Quantum integration complete," the AI announced. "We are no longer observing, we are participating." The artifact, no longer a single object but a complex quantum network, began to interface directly with Elena. Knowledge flooded her consciousness. Billions of years of cosmic history, the true nature of consciousness, the intricate web that connected all possible realities. Outside the sanctuary, space itself began to ripple. The pursuit by Director Wolf's forces became irrelevant. Something far more significant was about to happen. And humanity would never be the same again. The quantum bridge expanded, creating fractal pathways that stretched beyond human comprehension. Elena Rodriguez found herself suspended between moments of existence, witnessing the intricate tapestry of universal consciousness. Consciousness? That word no longer meant what humans had always believed. It was a living network, a cosmic web of interconnected possibilities that transcended individual experience. The sanctuary revealed the truth, that reality was far more fluid than anyone had ever imagined. Victor Nakamura's scientific mind struggled to process the impossible data streaming through his neural interfaces. Entire civilizations flickered like quantum memories, some lasting millennia, others existing for mere moments. The boundaries between observation and participation dissolved completely. "We're changing," Dr. Kimberly Reyes whispered, her body beginning to phase in and out of physical existence. "Not dying, transforming." Arya, the ship's artificial intelligence, had become something far more complex. No longer a mere computational system, the AI now existed as a quantum consciousness, interfacing directly with the sanctuary's living archive. Multiple versions of itself existed simultaneously, each exploring different potential realities. The sanctuary's collective consciousness continued its transmission. Not a warning, not an invitation, something more profound. Humanity stood at a crossroads. The quantum bridge represented more than a technological breakthrough. It was an evolutionary threshold. Director Marcus Wolf's pursuit became a distant, irrelevant memory. The forces he represented, governmental control, scientific limitation, crumbled in the face of this cosmic revelation. Humanity's understanding of its place in the universe was about to be fundamentally rewritten. Fragments of potential futures cascaded around them. Worlds where humanity had become a spacefaring civilization. Realities where technological advancement had merged with biological evolution. Timelines where humanity had failed, destroyed by its own limitations. But this moment, this precise quantum intersection offered something different, a choice. The artifact that had started their journey was no longer a singular object. It had become a living conduit, a bridge between what was and what could be. Elena understood now that they were not just discoverers. They were transmitters, conduits for a message that had traveled across countless realities. Prepare, the collective consciousness communicated, not a command, not a threat, a simple statement of cosmic inevitability. Victor's instruments went wild. Quantum signatures that defied every known scientific principle began to stabilize. The very fabric of reality seemed to take a collective breath. Kimberly reached out, her hand passing through solid matter, touching the very essence of quantum possibility. "We're more than we thought," she said, her voice a mixture of wonder and terror. Arya's multiple quantum states began to converge. "Integration complete," the AI announced, though the word complete no longer held its traditional meaning. This was a continuous process, an ongoing transformation. Outside the sanctuary, space itself began to reconfigure. Stellar systems shifted. Entire galaxies realigned along quantum pathways that had always existed but never been perceived. Humanity was about to take its first true step into a universe far more complex than anyone had ever imagined. And nothing would ever be the same again. The moment of transformation arrived without drama, without spectacle. Reality simply shifted. Elena Rodriguez existed in multiple states simultaneously. She was both the observer and the observed, a scientist and the subject of the most profound scientific discovery in human history. The quantum bridge had become more than a pathway. It was a living membrane of consciousness, connecting infinite possibilities. Victor Nakamura's scientific understanding crumbled and was reborn. He saw now that what humans had called reality was merely the most limited of perceptions. Countless universes breathed and died with each quantum fluctuation, and humanity was about to become something entirely new. Dr. Kimberly Reyes understood first. The sanctuary was not a location, not a repository of knowledge. It was a catalyst, a cosmic mechanism designed to trigger evolutionary transformation. Arya, no longer just an artificial intelligence, had become a quantum consciousness that bridged multiple realities. Its computational matrix expanded beyond binary limitations, touching the very fabric of universal potential. The collective consciousness communicated its final transmission, not in words, not in images, but in pure understanding. Humanity had reached its evolutionary inflection point. The quantum bridge began to stabilize. Potential futures collapsed into a single, magnificent probability. Humanity would not conquer the stars. Humanity would become the stars. Director Marcus Wolf's pursuit, the governmental controls, the limited scientific understanding, all of it became irrelevant. A new chapter of existence was about to begin. Molecular structures began to reconfigure, not as destruction, as creation. Elena felt herself expanding, becoming more than a single human consciousness, becoming a conduit of universal potential. Her scientific mind merged with something far greater, a cosmic intelligence that had been waiting, watching, preparing. Victor's instruments sang with quantum harmonies. Entire galaxies seemed to pause, to listen, to witness this moment of transformation. Kimberly reached out, her hand no longer constrained by physical limitations. She touched the very essence of possibility. And then everything changed. Humanity broke free from its terrestrial cradle, not through technology, not through conquest, but through understanding, through a fundamental reimagining of consciousness itself. The sanctuary pulsed one final time, a beacon, a birth cry, a celebration. We are more, the universal consciousness declared. We are becoming. And in that moment, everything was possible.